Hello and welcome to this episode of the MyRepChat Minute. Today we're going to talk about what is the risk to me of not using an approved compliance solution like MyRepChat to text with my clients. Or said another way, what is ultimately the biggest risk that I face of using my personal texting application to communicate via text with my clients? Now I have some things in my hand here which are specific fines and things like that levied by FINRA and the SEC. But before I get into that, let's talk a little bit more locally to you and some of the things that might impact you if you're going to use your personal texting application or personal texting device on your phone to communicate with your clients via text message. Now, if you don't know this already, I've said this before on different videos, my background is as an advisor myself, and I created MyRepChat a few years back because my clients would not stop texting me. And I knew I could not use my personal texting application to communicate via text with the clients. And so I had to find a solution, and that's how MyRepChat was born. Now for you, using your personal texting application might just seem natural and might be really easy for you and the clients to do, but there are some things you have to be aware of. The first thing that's really important for you to be aware of, one, of course, is the company policy and what your policies stipulate you can and can't do. And most policies state you can't use your personal texting application. But if you do, it's important for you to understand a couple of things, like who has access to your cell phone. I know for myself, my kids and my wife know how to access my phone. My kids sometimes to play games, my wife sometimes to do different things that she might want to do. And so having another layer of security that prevents anybody else from accessing any business communication is extremely important. So you never know what might happen with screenshots or somebody inadvertently seeing something you don't want them to see. You don't ever want that to happen. And so again, understanding who might have access to your device, not only now, but in the future, is really important. And the next thing to keep in mind is not only the industry policies, but your firm's policies on data that can be taken with you should you ever choose to leave an organization. So for instance, taking notes with you a lot of times is prohibited depending on the way the client ownership is structured, and you walk out the door and you have some of this information in your personal cell phone, you might find yourself in a very precarious situation where you now have to defend the communication you may have had with clients that might also be friends because you're communicating back and forth on one phone number on one device. You don't ever want to find yourself in that position. And of course, for that reason, that's why our emails are separate, your business versus your personal. But let's get into what the regulators are saying. And there's some very real fines that have been levied against not only advisors, but also broker-dealers when it comes to their lack of supervision or just completely not following the rules when it comes to texting. So here's an example one of FINRA suspends a rep for texting $7,500. Okay? They fine and suspend the rep there. Here's an example of FINRA fining somebody $5,000 for texting. This was a very simple text the advisor sent the client, but it wasn't captured, it wasn't reviewed, it was discovered later on, $5,000. Here's another example of a $5,000 fine levied against an advisor. And here, the SEC fined a broker-dealer $100,000 for failure to supervise, or essentially the broker-dealer not knowing that an advisor is using their personal texting application to communicate with clients. And of course, then they can't capture it, they can't monitor it, and they can't review it. That has nothing to do with whether or not there was a complaint or there was something that was done that was inappropriate. It has everything to do with the fact that there was communication going on that was not captured, not monitored, and not archived, which for the broker-dealer was a significant fine. So I understand that it might be really easy to use your personal texting device. I understand you might think your clients don't want to know a new number, but the reality is clients don't really care if you have to use a new number, and it's in everyone's best interest that you do things compliantly. So I hope this answers the question, and thank you so much for checking out this episode of the MyRepChat Minute.